Have you ever wondered why some people work hard year after year, but never seem to move forward financially? It's not just bad luck or a low-paying job. Often, it's the tiny habits, those small daily choices, that silently sabotage their wealth. These habits don't seem dangerous. In fact, most people think they're normal, but when repeated over time, they destroy your chances of financial freedom. Today you'll meet Daniel, a man with average income, big dreams, and invisible anchors holding him back. And if you recognize even one of these habits in yourself, this video might be your financial turning point. Chapter 1. Daniel's Dilemma, the man who did everything right. Daniel wasn't lazy. He followed the script society gave him. He went to college, got a stable job, paid off most of his debt, and even had a small emergency fund. To the outside world, he was doing okay. But inside, Daniel felt like he was running on a treadmill, moving fast, going nowhere. Every time he got a raise, a new bill showed up. Rent went up, groceries cost more, his car needed new tires, and even though he avoided big splurges, somehow there was never much left to save or invest. He kept asking himself, why can't I get ahead? What am I doing wrong? The answer wasn't obvious, because it wasn't about one big mistake. It was about small, automatic habits that silently drained his potential. The kind of habits everyone around him had. The kind that felt normal, reasonable, harmless. But repeated over time, those habits built a ceiling he couldn't break through. And until he changed them, he was destined to stay stuck, no matter how hard he worked. Chapter 2. Habit number 1. It's just $5 syndrome. Daniel's morning ritual started the same way every day. A quick stop at the corner cafe, the same order, the same friendly barista. That small coffee and croissant felt like comfort, something that made the morning just a little more bearable. It's just $5, he'd tell himself. I don't party, I don't buy designer clothes, I'm allowed this. And that's the trap, because it isn't about the $5, it's about the pattern. $5 a day becomes $150 a month. That's $1,800 a year. Over a decade, that's $18,000 gone. And if you invested that instead, compounding just 7% a year, you'd have over $30,000 to $40,000. And that's just one habit. Daniel had others. A $12 streaming bundle, food delivery twice a week, upgrading his phone because the battery was getting slow. It all added up, quietly. The problem isn't treating yourself once in a while. It's not assigning value to each dollar. Wealthy people think of every dollar as an employee. It either builds, grows, protects, or it's wasted. Poor people say, it's just $5. Rich people say, what job is this $5 doing for my future? Chapter 3. Habit number 2. Swiping without thinking. Daniel never really felt his purchases. Why? Because they were all digital. Tap your card, scan your phone, confirm online. Done. Easy, fast, convenient. And because of that, his money felt endless. Until it wasn't. When researchers studied spending behavior, they found that using a credit card activates the brain's reward system, but without the pain sense triggered by handing over physical cash. You literally get a dopamine hit without the guilt. Daniel was always swiping. A few snacks at checkout. A random Amazon item that just looked interesting. An upgrade on his streaming service because, well, why not? But all those swipes and taps had one thing in common. They disconnected him from the experience of spending. The fix: use cash for discretionary spending, or at least track each purchase in real time. When you feel the pain, you feel in control, and awareness leads to power. Chapter 4. Habit number 3. The I deserve it trap. After a stressful week at work, Daniel would say to himself, I worked hard, I deserve this. So he'd treat himself. Takeout instead of cooking. A weekend getaway instead of saving. A new gadget he needed to stay ahead. Sound familiar? This is emotional spending disguised as self-care. It's the idea that spending will fill the void of stress, exhaustion, or boredom, and it's one of the fastest ways to stay stuck in a cycle of financial struggle. It's not about denying yourself joy, it's about redefining what truly brings happiness. Wealthy people reward themselves with freedom, more time, less stress, and money that grows on its own. The poor reward themselves with distractions, items that lose value, comforts that fade, and experiences they regret. So, next time you hear yourself say, I deserve this, pause. Ask yourself, do I deserve long-term peace or a short-term escape? True self-respect is building a life you actually want, not just buying temporary distractions to cope. Chapter 5. Habit number 4. Avoiding the numbers. Daniel hated budgeting. It felt too restrictive. And checking his bank account? Even worse. He didn't want to see the damage, so he avoided it. He thought, if I don't look, maybe it's not so bad. But that's a dangerous game. Here's the truth. What you don't track, you can't improve. Think of it like your health. Would you try to lose weight without stepping on a scale, measuring portions, or tracking calories? Of course not. But Daniel was doing the financial version of that, driving without a dashboard. Most people aren't broke because of income. They're broke because of blindness. So Daniel took a leap. He downloaded a budgeting app, not to restrict himself, but to understand where his money went. Within 30 days, he found hundreds of dollars spent on things he didn't even care about. Awareness is power, not punishment. Power. Chapter 6, Habit number 5, Waiting for More to Start. Daniel would always tell himself, I'll start investing when I have more money. He'd wait for the next paycheck, the next raise, the next better time. But here's the ugly truth. Later is always a lie. Every time his income increased, so did his expenses. A bigger car, a more expensive apartment, fancy dinners out, lifestyle inflation swallows every raise. The key insight, wealth isn't about having more, it's about building a habit. If you can't save $100 now, you won't save $1,000 later. If you don't start investing with $50 a month, you won't magically invest $5,000 later. The habit matters more than the amount. It's about the discipline of doing it, no matter how small. Even starting with $50 a month creates momentum, and momentum compounds over time. Chapter 7, A Conversation That Changed Everything. One night, Daniel ran into Mia, a woman he used to work with. She had left the 9-to-5 grind 2 years ago. Now she worked part-time, traveled, and lived off rental income and dividends. Same job, same background, but a wildly different outcome. How did you do it? Daniel asked. Mia smiled. I just started doing the opposite of what broke people do. I tracked every dollar. I automated my investments. I stopped trying to look rich while I was still poor. That hit Daniel hard. He realized he hadn't been building, he'd been coping. He thought wealth was about math, but it was mostly about behavior. That conversation didn't change him overnight, but it planted a seed. Chapter 8, Rewriting the Script, One Habit at a Time. Daniel didn't overhaul everything overnight. He started with one small shift, brewing coffee at home. Then, he paused before swiping his card. He downloaded a budgeting app, set up a small $100 automatic investment, cut one subscription, and started building his emergency fund. At first, these changes felt insignificant, but over time, they created momentum. 6 months later, Daniel didn't just have more money, he had more confidence, more control, more clarity. Wealth isn't something that comes from luck or windfalls, it's something you build, brick by brick, habit by habit. And for Daniel, it started with just one small habit at a time. Final thoughts. Tiny habits, massive impact. What Daniel learned, and what you need to understand, is this. It's not one big mistake that keeps you broke. It's dozens of tiny habits you repeat without thinking. The skipped budget, the emotional purchase, the just $5 excuse, the ignored bank statement, the waiting for more game. But here's the good news. The same thing works in reverse. Tiny positive habits, tracking, investing, delaying gratification, compound into massive wealth. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. So ask yourself, what's one tiny habit you can change today to shift your financial future? Drop it in the comments and tag someone who needs to hear this. If this video opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe. And remember, your bank balance is temporary, but your habits, they write your future.